If it takes one step, most of the time it takes three. As soon as he opens his hip, come back, coach. If I can get some more. So if you're inside leverage, just stay in there. Okay, ball's here. I'm trying to get to my slant. Okay, so my first step, I'm going to try to get you to go that way. So we're playing the leverage game here. That's all we're doing. Okay, I'm trying to get you to open your hips. So I'm going to go one. Okay, so what did he do? He stepped with me, didn't he?
Momentum's already
that way. So he goes one, and I'm watching his hip the entire time. Two, on my second, it's not my second step because I'm closing myself off. So if I go past one, I've got to get to my third step now. But most of the time, I'll get to this third step, his hip opens, and I'm going to take my hand and push just push him by. Yeah. And you don't want to be high on the back, okay? You just get there right on his rear end, and a subtle shove by, and now I'm ripping back because I've taken my 3 steps and I'm working back to the slant. So that's what's called a diamond release. And I have that on film somewhere within this massive library of stuff. Maybe I can find it. How long have I been going here, Coach?
It's up to you. Let me check with Coach Clark.
Okay. I'll keep going. So this is your foot fire release here. Things that I've already discussed. Straight release is also, if you foot fired on him multiple times, okay, this is just another change up. Instead of, he's expecting this foot fire like pop, 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 and then the third rep I come up and I just fire out right in his face. Okay, he's expecting that foot fire gets him back on his heels a little bit. Okay, and then if I just come at him, it just creates another avenue of getting around, being creative. Triangle release, that is another word for diamond. Okay, so diamond release. See, I have the technique video somewhere, I just got to find it. Stacking, okay, is just me getting back on top of the defender. Whenever I clear a defender, I want to get on top of him so he can't re-engage. Okay, so and the great example was my video I did show you. My guy's getting back on top so the defender can't turn around and get back on my hip. What's that?
20.
Okay. More?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, separation. How to separate. So say I've got a man hip to hip with me. What can I do to separate? The more separation I can get, the more high percentage of the throw becomes. So we have what's called a lean technique, a flipper technique, and a push-through technique. The lean technique is just me applying pressure with pressure. So if Coach and I are running shoulder to shoulder and we're running downfield, okay, turn around here. Say the ball's coming from that direction, you're shoulder to shoulder with me. Turn around, the other way, We're running that way.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to apply pressure on him so when the ball arrives, I can lean and get away from the man. So make him feel as if I'm going inside. If I'm applying pressure inside, he feels as if I'm working that way. Okay? If I just run straight and don't have any pressure on him, I'm not giving him the impression of anything. Okay? And once I want to create separation, come back. We call it a flipper technique where I take my elbow and I'm just going to flip him away from me. All right? And create separation from there. So thank you.
Yep.
And then the push-through technique is virtually what I just showed you over here on that the 3-step in route.
Okay, yeah.
This works. I'll come back to you. This works if I get to the top of a 10-yard dig or an inward breaking route or an outward breaking route, or if I'm running a 12 back to 10 curl and the guy's hip to hip with me, I break down at the top of my route, drum my hands, and this guy's hip to hip. I'm going to slightly just give him a nudge by with my hand, staying low. Okay, if I get up on the back, it's offensive pass interference, but just a subtle push by, stick, and now I'm flashing my hands to the quarterback, getting him back. We got
the flipper technique. You use it just before the ball arrives.
Yes. Yeah. So, like say, and most of the time, a flipper technique would be used on a fade or a vert, where I'm trying to give my quarterback an area to throw the ball. I don't want to run almost out to the bottom of the numbers where my quarterback doesn't have anywhere to throw it. So I'm going to continue my vertical path, and once I see that ball in the air and I'm beginning to track it, okay, I'm going to flip, fade, catch. Okay, and it doesn't give me any time to regain connection with them.
For someone who doesn't really know, what is is it the hip? If you push over the hip, is that offensive pass interference?
That's what I'm saying. You got to be very. It's
no, is it
subtle.
the hip? That's the.
No, it's if you extend your arm so your elbow locks.
Right.
That's the offense. Yeah.
There goes his back.
Okay.
Well,
yeah, you just don't want to get up high on his back and push him through.
Yeah, I thought there was like a limit, so it was catered like in the rear end or.
No, it's just pop, 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 and because his speed is going to carry him.
Yeah.
And as soon as he gets to your hip, you're just helping him clear you.
Yeah.
And it's real. I mean, it doesn't take a whole lot at all. You're just a subtle push by, and then you're there.
Yeah.
You just don't want to get high and go
extend.
here.
Okay, yeah.
See, I've got this stuff somewhere. I've got to find it.
Interesting note on your on the catching. I heard the PJ Fleck from Western Michigan, the head coach who went for Minnesota.
Yeah.
He was coaching. He taught the U as a catching technique because that was too narrow with fingers in the diamond, so he would just go for the U. It's an interesting changing it up a bit,
right?
Because he thought that it was like the kids kind of got too narrow when they were doing the diamond thing, and when you have the U, since football is pretty large, that makes sense.
I think you can overcoach it sometimes.
Yeah.
I feel like the only reason we say, hey, create the diamond is to get you to get your hands here.
That's a good point.
Where you're like an overemphasis type of thing. It's like whenever I say get skinny, grab grass, I just am trying to get you to get down there. All right, because in the game scenario, you're not going to go way. I mean, most kids aren't going to go way down there. But when you're teaching the technique, that's one of those probably scenarios. I don't when I'm teaching them a kid to catch. I don't say that a whole lot. I just say, okay, this is how you want your hands. This scares me because I've got a big window here, this, I'm at least getting my hands together, where it's not going to shoot through. You're not giving them an open window. I probably emphasize more on this. I don't know if y'all have ever heard of this. Stare at the ceiling fan. I don't know if you've ever laid on the couch at home or in your bed and you've got a ceiling fan. And you turn it up really high and you can look at it, and as it's spinning you can pick out one pane of the ceiling fan because your concentration level is extremely high and dialed in. You can pick one out and you can concentrate on that and it just spins. I tell my guys that's how high your concentration level needs to be when it comes to finding the point of the ball or the cross. Like if you look at the point of the ball, okay, there is a small cross that's indented where all the seams come together. I always say aim small, miss small. So my eyes are glued or fixated on that small cross as the ball is arriving. And if you stare hard enough, if you concentrate hard enough, you can pick that up on a tight spiral. And aim small, miss small, if I'm eyeing the ball and I'm catching that, I'm going to have much more, I'm going to be more consistent. As opposed to if I'm staring the ball as a whole, not aiming small, okay, I'm going to miss large at that point. If I'm trying to catch the white on the ball, the white, not laces, I don't know, whatever the lines are on it, then circle around. A lot of kids just stare at it. Just, oh, here comes the ball, I'm just looking at it. Find the smallest point on that ball and try to catch that. So it's just things to focus on. And that's one thing I tell them. Locate the cross, stare at the ceiling fan. Your concentration needs to be that high when the ball is coming at you. So down at the bottom, high ball. If you got anything, basically from the belly button up, I'm going to diamond catch. I'm here to here. Okay. Anything down, pinkies together. What else? We always talk about ball security being number one.
Question for you, Coach.
Yes.
How do you coach the post-catch to chin position? Like, do you have them stare it in all the way, or like do you just have them catch it and secure it and
Early in the season, I place a big time emphasis on it.
yeah.
Like catch, and even today, I was telling your kids, like, they'll catch and they just turn it off. They stop. You know, well, number one thing is ball security. You know, terms like high and tight, high and tight, high and tight. We'll also do drills where it's like a gauntlet, where they'll run like an inward breaking route, or just come right down a white line, you know, a 5-yard line. So say this alleyway is the 5-yard line, okay? And this table's a guy, and this table's a guy, and they're both having hand shields, okay? And they're coming down, and the receivers are coming down this gauntlet. I'm back here by the window. I'm going to throw them a ball, all right? So they have to catch it, okay? And all this is an after catch drill. So I've caught it, and the main emphasis is high and tight. I'm securing, and I'm sticking, and I'm getting immediately vertical through the gauntlet. So you can have one guy here and one guy there with a bag. You can have it, you know, we have a big chute our kids can run through, but you all don't have that. You don't have the equipment. So I would just do it with bags. You could have 4 guys and make it a gauntlet where their single job is to try to get the ball out with a bag, or they can punch it, whatever they can do. You can turn it into a defensive drill as well. Like Coach Hart was talking yesterday, the can opener. What did he say? The push pull. I don't know if you all remember that. Just anything where you're working strip drill, but you're also working ball security. Okay, if you're getting guys going both ways, yeah.
You want the receiver to have one hand or 2 hands on the ball.
When you come through contact, preferably 2. Absolutely. Once you get contact, 1 hand, 2 over the, or 1 over the top, and shoulders low, driving through the ball. Okay. Same thing that I wouldn't tell the running backs any different. So that's a good question. Anything else? Is that good?
That's good.
When you teach them to tug the ball,
Mm-hmm.
do you want them, or do you want to teach them to like use their, like the hand that feels best, or the hand that's most?
I want the ball in the hand that is furthest away from the defense. Okay? So if they're working, in most receivers, if they're going to catch it, they're out near the numbers or out by the sideline. I want the ball in the outside arm, furthest away from the defense, and make that defender come all the way across my body to get to it. Because if this is the sideline, okay, and the ball's here, somebody comes and puts their helmet here, it's coming out. Okay, so make them come across. Make sense? And if it's not, we always talk, I wish we had a ball in here. As far as transitioning.
We do actually. There's one in my bag.
Oh, can you grab it for me?
It's
I don't want to go through your bag. Preferably.
Start roaming around. What's this?
Yeah.
I think it's the only thing in there.
So we talk about points of pressure all the time. You know, our running back coach, Coach Moody's great at this. He's got a specific technique, and he has like 5 points of pressure, and I can't remember what all the ones that he calls them. But you have like the bicep, forearm, chest, you're high and tight, and you're creating the claw, okay, where your fingers are over the top. So you never want to carry the ball here. You always want to have it collapsed over the top. So here,
I think
top,
it's
forearm,
fingers, palm, forearm, bicep, chest.
chest. So you're high and tight here, okay? Now, all your points of pressure, okay? So say I'm running down the sideline's here, and I've just caught the ball, all right? I never want to just switch hands like this. Our technique for switching hands is over the top. So the oncoming defender is coming, I'm going to come over the top, ball high on my chest, over the top, and pull it across to here, okay? You don't let this, okay? So and you can have your receivers pre-practice, okay? Everybody grab a ball, we're just doing ball security. So hot points of pressure, you know, you can have buddies just in here like hitting on the ball, whatever, just have them paired up. Or you can just have them sit here and do this, okay? Which is a great drill, just getting them having a feeling of transition. Because most of the time when you're catching, all right, they're not placing a big time emphasis on catching, securing, getting upfield, moving them from one hand to the other. They're going to do this a whole lot of the time, keep it in one hand. unless you're doing 7-on-7 thud, bring them to the ground, they have no reason to transition arms. So pre-practice, make them feel that. Running backs get to do it all the time because they're feeling a lot of contact working through traffic. I'll just keep the ball here just in case I need it. So yeah. Questions? Ball security?
When you say we do not catch the ball, we receive the ball. What's your?
The reason I say that to my kids because whenever I feel like I'm receiving something, like I always try to give them the impression that like you're receiving it, you're having a little give instead of just catching it. You know, I want a little give and receiving it in. So if like a baby was falling off the table, you know, I'm not just gonna grab the baby real hard. I want to nice and easy in. I have a little give when the ball is received. Okay, you can always tell who's got good hands and who doesn't because that smack of the ball when it arrives. A good receiver has some give. All right. So that's what I mean by that.
Okay.
You receive it in, you don't catch it. I'm harping on my guys all the time right now back at home, like work on your craft, and even Coach Clark was talking about it today, mastering your craft, and if you don't work at something, you're not going to get good at it. Well, if you don't catch footballs, you're not going to get good at it, period. You should be catching no less than, if you really want to be good, and we tell our guys 500 balls a week. And for one, it calluses your hands. If you play guitar or any type of instrument, you understand that your fingers, your fingers get calloused so you can play the strings. It's the same thing with catching a football. If your hands aren't strong, if they don't get used to feeling the leather and catching it, okay, and letting the laces cut your hands a little bit, then you're not going to catch the ball as much. If you get used to that feeling of it hitting your hands constantly, your hands will naturally become better. But catching is a craft. You got to work it. Get with a quarterback or friend and just catch after catch after catch. It doesn't have to be routes all the time. Yeah.
Do you want it to be like 500 when an actual football, or just 500 catches, like 500?
With a football, preferably. Now, another great tool is a racquetball, a tennis ball. If you're just bouncing it, working your hand-eye coordination. But when I'm trying to get my players to callus their hands and get them strong, I want them using this. Another thing, you make your hands strong carrying around a tennis ball and just squeezing it. You have those grippers that help your hands. And I was talking to our OC before we left, and he's told me this before, but he's told me the same story a couple times, but it's good. Everybody knows who Larry Fitzgerald is. Okay? Larry Fitzgerald, his brother played at Marshall University with our quarterback Jimmy Skinner, or our quarterback's coach, OC Jimmy Skinner. His brother did, and Coach Skinner was saying, the best hands I've ever played with or seen, he wasn't even the greatest athlete, wasn't the best receiver, biggest, but it was Larry Fitzgerald's brother, and the reason for that, he had the best hands, is what he was saying, is the reason for that is he was constantly working on his grip. He said he had the strongest hands he'd ever seen in his life. He'd carry around balls or anything he'd get his hands on, he was just constantly squeezing it. He'd sit in class or in lectures and working on his hamstring. He said he could catch anything. And where do you think he got that from? Larry, more than likely, would be my guess. And Larry's been in the league and has the best hands in the league, arguably for the last.
I think it was, who was it? It was one receiver. He worked kind of with bricks during the summer. So he would just, his brother and him, they would throw
Jerry
bricks.
Rice.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
They would just throw bricks to each other and catch it with one hand, and so I guess that's a.
He understood the importance of callousing your hands, making them strong.
Otherwise you get a break in your head.
Do what? Yeah. Yeah. Let's see here. Let's see if I can find some film. How much time have I got left?
Like 5 minutes probably.
Okay, we'll see if we can find some stuff here. This maybe be. Yeah. These are just drills, I think. This is just a straight-on catching drill. It's pretty elementary stuff. Let's see if I can. Just breaking at a 90-degree angle. Just over the shoulder. We did a little bit of it today. I have some blocking drill stuff that I really want to show you. This might have the gauntlet on it, too. And this is just a cut drill. Learn it. We're a big. I talk about drumming our hands at the top of the route. It's a lot. Dropping our hips, sinking our hips, and this is one of those drills where it just mimics the top of routes or top of breaks where we're dropping our hips, drumming our hands. Some of these kids are not very skilled at it. That's Dez. He ended up being one of the best route runners we've had. It's pretty good with the hands at the top, but drumming of the hands at the top of the route to make the DB have the idea that we're continuing to climb in our route. And you'll see the pros and college guys do this a lot. Here's a gauntlet. And this needs to be a little bit more full speed. They're not working real quick. This is a couple years ago, so a lot of JV players in this as well. But you're just trying to get low and work through the contact.
I think, hey, Coach, a question for you. We've had some issues with our receivers, and I'm just basically talking for Victor now, who's our receiver coach, but that getting our receivers to catch the ball in traffic and that they're a bit afraid of catching the ball when there are other people around them and like getting hit and catching. Mm-hmm. How do you guys go about fixing that issue?
Put bodies around them in spaces and
okay.
Throw balls at them, no joke. Like what we'll do, I'll line you up on the sideline. Stand up here, coach. Turn that way. All right, you be on that side of him. Okay, Sebastian, I'm like as a coach, I'm going to be where you're at with the ball or multiple balls, probably 3 or 4 balls. Okay, and you're just going to sit here and run in place. Okay, you're just going to start throwing balls into him. Okay, and me and you, the only thing we're doing is trying to just all around his face. Okay, I can just touch him, whatever, and just make him uncomfortable. I can get in his ear, I can talk to him, I can do whatever I can to make him uncomfortable. And you can sit down, you're good. But you can make variations of that drill. It's very simple, isn't it? But anything to try to distract him and put bodies around him, we'll do gauntlet drill, but I'll take a big bag, and as they're catching it, boom, I'm hitting them with the bag. Boom, hitting them with the bag. And I don't know how familiar you are with basketball, but post players, once they catch the ball, coaches will sit there with bags with them and feel that body. They'll hit them with a bag just to make them feel that body on top of them. You can have bags that just flash them in front of their face. Anything that creates chaos or distraction in front of them to get that concentration level as high as possible.
Yeah.
And as you're teaching that, you can say, find the cross on the ball. That's the only thing that you should be concentrating on. Your concentration should be that high.
Do you work a lot at the high point of the ball?
Oh, yeah. Any drill that we do, we're always talking about high pointing. There was a kid, I think it was Oliver today. I don't know who was it? I don't remember.
Yeah, I have trouble getting the ones I coach.
Isn't it your tall kids? Your tall kids.
Yeah, some calls, I'm sure.
If anything that you throw, you can do. I mean, I do it in a lot of DB drills, and I probably focus more on DB drills than anything. Is just going up and getting the ball. And you can just do a high point drill where you're just throwing high balls at them all the time and making them leap and jump.
Because I've tried to coach it in, and they just they wait for it. They catch it down here like it's a fade route. They just wait it in instead of going up and getting the football.
One of the players today, I can't remember who it was asking me, what can I do to get better? And I told him that was the number one thing. One was because he was this tall, 6'1", 6'2". I said, use your height to your advantage, because I just noticed him So you're just waiting for the ball, and the kid came back and made a play on the ball because he didn't go meet it. You know, so just placing an emphasis on those back shoulder fades, but high fades, where you're just running, okay, and the quarterback's trying to throw it at his back shoulder. One, that's a good throw if you're down around the goal line, you know, scheme-wise. But another is making them learn to adjust and get their shoulders around the catch, or adjust and jump and catch. You know, throwing bad balls and making them go get it instead of just putting it on them every single time. You know?
Working on the backside shoulder.
Right. You know, and even low balls. Teaching them how to dig balls out, like having them here, and you're just throwing low balls, and you're forcing them to. Okay, you're dropping your knees, and you're digging all these balls out. Okay, and you're throwing bad balls at them every single time. And it's just working hand-eye coordination, and it's teaching them to drop quickly and get up underneath something. Because that's not necessarily a movement that you do all the time, but you can work it. You know, just be creative and create a drill like that in any way that you want to do it.
Yeah. Throwing bad balls at the kids.
Yeah. I mean, that sounds weird, but it's effective at the same time.
Finding something I can do by myself.
I think we need to wrap up soon.
Okay. Let's see if I can find. I wanted to. Got some blocking stuff, man.
Jag hittade den här förra. Jag lämnar på. Så man ställer upp ett led här och ett led där. Och delat så jag behöver springa framför och hoppa så de startar samtidigt. Så ska jag bara bygga.
How much blocking are you all teaching? How much of an emphasis?
A lot.
The main thing that I would teach, you know, and we've even talked about it a lot this weekend, is one, as a receiver and you're coming up the block, is being under control, okay? And a lot of the times, when you find yourself blocking on the perimeter, you're having to hold a block for a really, really long time, and it's not possible. You know, in the year before last, we even were guilty of this. We're sitting there going, why can our receivers blocking the perimeter? Well, it's because we're asking them to block for 4 seconds before our running back can get out there, you know, and nobody can hold a block that long. So being patient as a receiver as you're coming out and under control. So if I'm coming to coach, okay, I want to make sure I'm breaking down and I'm not immediately going to attack you, okay? I'm going to wait to see what your first move is, and then I'm going to react off of you and then engage and run you out, okay? And at the point of engagement, things that I really like to focus on, I know this is a quick crash course, is making sure our thumbs are up, and I'm working the inside breastplate of the defender. You know, the drill that we did at the very end, we were talking about, what's his name from Ohio State? The Ohio State drill that we did. It was like one-on-ones, the big circle.
The circle drill? I think they call it circle drill.
Circle drill?
Yeah.
It's like at the beginning of practice?
Yeah.
One thing that I noticed is when they were engaging and locking on, it ended up becoming a bear hug, and there wasn't an urgency for our hands to continue to work inside. So if you feel your hands getting out, I constantly harp to my guys, do not be okay with this. Work your hands to the inside frame, because that's where control is. All right? Hand fighting is working here. So, you know, if there's a couple of things that I would really want for you all to take away, is number one, like hand strength and the importance of hands, whether that's catching the ball or the engagement of blocking and defeating press at the line, having strong hands, because, you know, if my hands are weak or my hands are slow, okay, I'm going to have a very hard time at defeating press. You know, slapping hands away, working hand strength is a good thing, you know. And we've talked about that as a staff, you know, other ways of doing that. One was, you know, carrying around tension balls or stress balls, tennis balls. You can get, we have big buckets of rice, and we haven't used them yet, but we need to. You have big buckets of rice, and you just stick your hands down in these buckets of rice, and you're just clawing at the rice to help build calluses and build strength in your hands. Anything that will help this. You know, just good releases and ball security. Fumble the ball, it's hard to win. Yeah.
To win the inside when you're blocking, you want to like lock your elbows like further in, or do you still want to keep them
here?
inside?
You don't want this, okay, because then you're losing power. But you want, but just within wherever your thumb is up, okay, and I strike, and I'm getting right up underneath that armpit, and I'm trying to control the man from there. Now, we teach like push-pull concept, where you're fighting pressure with pressure. So if a guy tries to come across my face, stand up here again, coach. See, I'm just gonna grab your shirt here. I've got coach here, and I'm in good position, okay? But if coach tries to go to my left, okay, and I just try to roll with him, I'm not fighting pressure with pressure. Now go back. Now go to my left. Now I'm gonna push with my left hand, sorry. Yeah. I'm gonna push with my left hand and fight pressure with this hand and pull him with this, so I can get my hips around and move my feet.
Yeah, you're also like shifting your shoulders
right
around, yeah.
So now if I'm here and he goes right, I'm going to move my feet and push and pull here and try to drive him out that way. Okay, you all probably do something similar. Yeah. You know, I've stole this drill from the offensive line.
Yeah, we do it on a like a reach block. It's the same thing, same concept.
Okay. One way you can do this, and we do this, it's like a trust fall type thing. I'm going to have just his back with shoulder pads on. I can grip him in the back. My hands are in the right placement. And you're just going to like lean back. Okay? You're applying pressure. Yep. Now, snap of the ball. Okay, this is a point of engagement. I'm going to walk out. Okay, keep leaning back. Okay, and now I'll try to roll just a little bit. Okay, either way. Good. So either way he rolls, my feet are sliding all over the place in this ground. You're good. So I don't drop you. But say he rolls this way, I'm going to push, okay? And then I'll blow another whistle and he'll straighten up and he'll try to roll the other way. I'm just getting this feeling, okay? Yep.
So you want your arms slightly bent?
Yeah, and I mean, you can get to that point of extension. We've taught it a couple of ways as far as, because when I extend him out, he has an opportunity of ripping off. You know, and another good technique is to keep him here so I can steer him. Once I get out here, I'll lose that steering capability. You know, once I lock him out. You know, and if you're trying to get a pancake, okay, if you're really trying to roll him up, running my feet to his and getting him up and off balance so I can put him on the ground, which is perfectly okay. All right. So, anything else? I could go all day. I've got. Once I get in the flow, I'll start thinking of more and more stuff. And
I think we should get in and do some special teams with the other coaches.
Sounds good.
All right, awesome.